Hi everyone, my name's Eddie and I'm super excited to bring to you Developer Stories series, where I'm going to share stories from amazing people in our community, and you probably know quite a few of them already. I want to share with you some details about them and how they got to where they are, so you can learn from their experiences. My guest today is Francesco. I met Francesco, you guessed it, on Twitter. So Francesco, please give yourself an introduction. Who you are, where are you from?
So, hi everyone, I'm Francesco, I'm from Rome, I'm 38 and I've been in the tech world professionally for about 7 years. I have a computer science degree, nobody cares about that. I've worked with many technologies, Unity 3D, Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python, and of course, above all, Docker and containers. I've also worked for the European Space Agency for about 3 years, but 2 years ago I started my social media journey. So my life totally changed after this, and yes, here we are, Eddie. Let's get started. Thank you for inviting me as a guest. I'm not used to be a guest. Usually I'm the host in my podcast.
On that note, everyone go check out Francesco's awesome YouTube channel and Twitter, links in the description below. So Francesco, what are you working on at the moment?
Okay, I'm working on many things at the same time, but let's say that officially now I am a developer advocate for the Dev. What I'm learning at the moment, which is basically the Web3 world. I'm also very active with the Docker community, and let's say this. So for now, this is where I'm more active. I'm active on, as Eddie said, with Twitter, YouTube, also Twitch when I have time.
Awesome. So Francesco, you mentioned daily.dev. I see you doing lots of awesome content creation with them. And if I remember correctly, you started working with them a few months ago as a freelancer. So how did you get that role and how is it going now?
This is an interesting question because I started to working for them because the CEO of daily.dev has been a guest on my podcast about 1 year ago. So basically he already knew me. This is, for example, why I also always suggest to people to create strong connections like we are doing, Eddie, because you never know what this kind of connections can bring you, all the opportunities. And I found a very great and friendly workplace. People are super kind. We make amazing coffee breaks. We should live stream them because they are super funny. Let me also say that the Little Dev was born as a side project and it's an open source project. So you should, I think you like that.
Yes, definitely. Double thumbs up. That's awesome. What did you do before getting into tech?
I've been a volleyball coach for about 20 years. So I come from the sport world. I've also been a math, physics and chemistry instructor. Almost nobody knows this. Also, both of my parents are teachers. My grandmother, it was one of the first head teachers in Italy in the history. So I come from, say, a teacher's background, and this is what I've been doing before stepping into tech. So tech is something new on top of that.
That's awesome. I really love hearing about career changes because I so believe that tech is for everybody. And it doesn't matter. Tech is so big, so it doesn't matter if you become a coder, get into DevOps, you get into content creation. It doesn't really matter because tech is so big. And I really believe that people can bring their experiences from wherever they had before into tech and just add so much value. So what attracted you getting into tech?
I've always loved computers. My first computer was a Commodore 64. I bought a t-shirt. I think the only t-shirt that I bought because the rest are just Zwok t-shirts this year. And I always, let's tell all the secrets to you, Eddie. I've also been almost a professional gamer some years ago, so I was playing also a lot. And I've also started the computer science. But to be honest, I loved more math and algorithms than programming. So this was kind of strange. What really made me start, now we laugh, it's a challenge because basically a professor in the computer science said like, Francesco, you'll never be a developer. You should never say something like that to me because then I come back home and I say, okay, now I want to become a developer because I want to prove him wrong. This is how it started, by the way. I'm not upset with him anymore. So I started to look into how, because the problem with programming is that if you want to get started, it's a bit, let's say, boring. I come from sport, something very entertaining. So thinking about sitting on a chair for hours, for me, it was basically a nightmare. So I started learning with something a little bit interesting, so like Unity 3D, which is like games, which is also related to my previous gamer experience. It started with a challenge, but now, of course, it's totally different. I study a lot alone, but now, of course, I'm connected with you and all the awesome people on the social media, so I'm very happy to stay in this world. It's nice because it's always changing, we're always learning every day. I'm learning Web3 stuff literally every single day, so it's amazing, Eddie.
You're learning and you're sharing it. I think it's really important for people to realize that people think content creation is this complicated process. It is time consuming and it is hard. I'm not trying to say it's easy, but if people are learning all the time and then they share those tips on socials, that's kind of documenting your journey and creating content. And I love how you do that.
Yeah, and people think that I'm an expert in Web3 because I share that, but that's not totally true. I probably will be an expert in years, in months, I don't know. But now I'm sharing what I'm learning every day. So I learn and share. And this is a process that I'm really, really loving. And one of the reasons why I also switched to social media is that when I became a developer for the European Space Agency as a full stack developer, I stopped teaching people. When I started to be also on social media, I said, okay, so maybe I can use the social media even if I'm very shy, but by sharing my knowledge, so I can be a teacher again. So this is also something that also treated, also let me stay for so many years.
What were some of the challenges you faced when getting into tech, and how did you overcome them?
The first challenge is that basically I learned almost everything in the beginning alone. So basically I was literally alone in this house, learning, watching videos, learning stuff, learning how API works, backend, front-end, all the JavaScript frameworks, all at the same time. So I really felt very, very overwhelmed. So I had to basically alone, there was not like Danny Thompson on Twitter or someone else who can just guide me. So I was literally alone and learning in private, very hard, very tough every day, and this has been really challenging. One of the challenges that I stopped working for the gym as a volleyball instructor. I also had people crying and sending me DM, please Francesco come back. That was also very tough. So this was the very first challenge, but I was sure about this new path. So this was the first challenge. Another challenge, it was, for example, this is funny, I'll say this, that when I was working for the European Space Agency, my very first role, so the challenge it has been to sit on the chair, because I was used to work in a gym for 6 hours per day, so sitting on a chair. Every 30 minutes I was going to the toilet, so people thought that I was either, some drugs problem, or maybe just really some problem. Instead, for me it was so strange that to work you should sit on a chair. It's something that this is from a physical point of view. And last but not least, it's not strictly related to tech, but the camera shyness. So what I'm doing now, you can think that this is natural. Now, let's say that I'm getting used. I always feel a little bit anxious, by the way. But now it's totally different. Now I can look at the camera without any problem, because I know that this maybe can help someone. This is something that it's really helping me to overcome this huge challenge. I got my first DSLR camera 10 years ago because I wanted to start my YouTube channel, but it was always, I think, one of the hardest challenges of all my life. It has been like, for me, uploading a video on YouTube, it was really crazy. Even sending a audio message to my colleagues when they were sick, it was a little bit too like heart-beating. I felt very anxious. So now it's totally different. When I told my old colleagues that I would have started my YouTube channel, they were like, Francesco, are you sure? Because you don't look like a person who can do that. And of course, you know what happens when someone says this.
Yes, I see a pattern evolving. So if we want Francesco to do something, we need to say it's not possible.
Exactly.
and he will make it possible. So moving on to what are your current challenges? So maybe the community can help with that. I mean, you have a huge community already, but what are some of your current challenges? And maybe, someone can shed some light on it.
Yes, so currently I am in a challenge because I like the 100 number. I'm doing a 100 days of Web3 challenge. Basically, since I want to learn Web3, I'm sharing every day, every single morning after the first coffee, which is about at 4:30, 5 a.m. I start creating content. I hate losing challenges. I challenge myself. I put a video on Twitter. Probably someone watched that, and then I have to so it's also a challenge to stay committed and to do that. Another challenge is exactly what you said. So like I'm building a community for C called Cool Community of Content Creators. So it's a community of content creators. It requires me a lot of time every day. It's not easy because it's hard to create a community, and you are a great example of how you should build a community. So I'm following your steps, Eddie.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, it is hard. It does take a lot of time, but it is so rewarding as well at the same time. So I highly recommend people either joining a community and getting involved, so then they can kind of become moderators or become moderate meetings, get involved. Also, they can start their own community if they have a certain sub niche that they want to do, which I think is really useful. So what sort of resources do you use to answer any tech questions that you have and to improve and learn new skills?
Okay, this is a great question, and I think that many people think that when they ask something to someone who has at least 10,000 followers on Twitter, they are like that. They know everything on all the languages about any topic without even checking the website, because you don't need that. You got 20,000 of followers. The truth is that maybe it's the opposite. Since you have followers, now I have to. Before I was checking twice, now I'm checking thrice every time, because I have more people that watch that. So the more followers you have, the more you have to check, basically. So it's the opposit, because I don't want to give false information. At least I try. Of course, Google. People that I really admire, and I think that I are very expert in some topics. And yes, so basically I Google and I try to find resources, of course, which has a lot of upvotes, usually Stack Overflow. I double check on the official documentation. It depends, of course, on the questions.
Very, very true. So my next question was, where do you find support in tech? But I don't know if we've covered this already or if you would like to add more to it.
My support in tech, for me, it's basically Twitter. So it's basically I find a lot of connections there, very amazing people. Eddie, of course, is on the top list, and I like to connect with people daily, because they also motivate me when they say, "Oh, Francesco, good job, you have done this, you have done that, you are my inspiration." The best messages are like, "Francesco, you are helping me to understand something, you are helping me, I found a job." So this is like really heart-taking.
I love that, because you're right. It's support is not just about, hey, I'm stuck on this, or hey, can you help me get more engagement on this? Support is also encouragement, motivation, and those sorts of things as well, which I think is awesome. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm glad you clarified that, so thank you so much. And so who inspires you in tech? Obviously me, I'm wearing my Stack Overflow t-shirt today.
Yes.
I'm obviously number one, but who else?
Okay, so I thought about 4 people. Just drop the name, so let's be very specific. So one person is Traversy Media, Brad Traversy. Now I'm connected with him. We talk almost every day on Twitter. So I think it is like, at the really, really top level. And unsurprisingly, he's also super humble. So it's strange to see people who just wrote an article and they pretend to be experts. Yes, he created crash courses, like, during a morning, but also top level quality. So I'm super inspired. I would like to understand how he do that. One day probably I'll interview him. Let's see. So this is the first person. Second person, Adrian Twarog. Adrian Twarog is one of my best friends on Twitter and social media. He's also one of the reasons why I started to make my podcast. He does really stunning videos that I always have imposter syndrome when I watch them, but I highly recommend to follow him and watch all these videos. They are really, you will look like that when you look at his videos about tech. So it's really amazing. Then another person is Flavio Copes, who is Italian. He has a blog, and he has been blogging, I think, for I don't know how many years, every single day. So the consistency, it's really something which is on another level. So I really admire him for his consistency. I'm also planning to interview him in some ways, but let's see. The last person that I would like to make a huge shout out is Eddie Jaude. I don't know if you know him, but Eddie Jaude, I really admire him for a specific reason. I'm not saying this because we are in this podcast. For his community building aspects, the way he communicates with people, it's really amazing. So please follow him, and also please subscribe to his YouTube channel and like his video.
Thank you so much, Francesco. It's amazing to be listed with those awesome people, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, so looking to the future, where would you like to be in the next few years?
I think this question is the hardest one, because if we go back in the past, 2 years ago, I was working for the European Space Agency, doing 3 hours of commute every day, and I had almost a zero line presence. So something changed in a couple of years. So I don't feel like making a plan, but I know the direction where I want to go. So the direction is that I still want to be connected with people. Probably I still have a Twitter account, and I'll keep creating events. So I really want to work with people, because I think this is where I can give my best. So organizing events, organizing series, I don't know, creating something good for the whole tech community. So I would like to make something, I don't know, like worldwide, like I don't know, organizing a worldwide event, being a part of that. So like connected with as smallest people as I can. So this is one of my, let's say, goals, or at least directions. And I prefer to talk about directions instead of goal, because otherwise you struggle to don't achieve that. And so this is basically just my plan. Of course, if you're watching this video and I'm no more active on Twitter, please don't don't shame me.
No, you're doing so much. You're already kind of reaching so many people worldwide. I mean, you're approaching nearly 100,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, that is amazing, especially, in tech. What do you wish you knew when you first started out?
I wish to know that you don't have to feel overwhelmed. You can reach out for help. For me, it's very hard to ask for help. So tech is not just code. I think you agree, Eddie. Tech is not just code. Tech is way more. People, connections, different technologies, usual things, more stable. It's literally a world, a universe, we can say. So I think that we should always think about people, and maybe less about the struggle, which is the best framework, 0.1 milliseconds more performant. That's important, but at some level. So when you really have a business, when you really have, and it really matters to you, and you save like $1 million for 0.1 seconds. In that case, it's important. But before that, there's all the communication part, the networking, it doesn't come from nowhere. You can't wake up and, I don't know, everyone, they know you. You have to work daily on that part. So don't underestimate that part. So this is something that I'd like to share, because it's not something, even if you are an introvert, maybe with baby steps, little by little, every day, you can have way more opportunities. So this is what I highly recommend, especially if you're struggling.
I love that. Thank you so much. You even answered my next question, which was, if people are stuck, what advice would you give? But I think you've covered that already. I think that's awesome. If they're feeling demotivated, do you have any suggestions on what they could maybe do if they're struggling to get an internship or a job? What would you recommend?
Yeah, let's try. Okay, so let's try. So let's pretend that we are struggling with something. This can be with everything, with a bug or your whole life. So the first thing is to calm down. This is the first thing, because that's not helping you. If you focus on the problems that you have, you will never get out of this situation, because you are focused on the problem. So I like to make analogies with sports. So I like to make the analogy of a person who is in a gym, and they see someone else who's super pumped. They can do literally every exercise, 100 kilograms, so with one arm. So, and you are there that you are really struggling. So I'll never be like that. So what I suggest is to take those people as an inspiration for you. So never invite them, because maybe that person has worked 10 years in the gym. You really can't compare yourself when you step into the gym for 1 week. Okay, so take the positivity of getting someone who is better than you at doing something. This is not secret. There are no secrets. It's literally just a hard daily work, and then you'll see the results. And the last thing that I would like to say is that be patient. So don't expect that you make a great article and then everybody start to follow you. This is a long process. This is like a diet. You can't expect, okay, so but I've eaten some vegetables at lunch. Why I haven't lost 10 kilograms? You can't expect that. It's a long process. Focus, okay, so I want to learn, be humble, and then you'll see. And then you'll see in the months. So think in months instead of just one single mistake. The last thing that I would like to say is that if you're struggling, if you have a problem, don't focus on the bad little things. Don't focus on a single bad commit, a mistake that you made in an article, a video which is not perfect. Focus on your whole process. So what you're doing, your series, your past in the last 6 months. Okay, what I've achieved in 6 months. So focus on and zoom out instead of focusing on the small bad things.
Great advice. I love that. Francesco, thank you so much again for sharing your experiences and your tips and advice in this video that I can't wait to share with the community. I know people are going to be super excited to watch it. Everyone, don't forget to subscribe to Francesco's YouTube channel, link in the description below. Oh, I must remember to take a screenshot. Okay, do a pose, Francesco. Oh no, I pressed the wrong button, damn it. Everyone, don't forget to subscribe to Francesco's YouTube channel. Link to, God, I can't say it. Description in the link below. It doesn't make any sense. Shit, what's wrong with me today?